Some answers to those questions, Ruth.
Well, a short sale basically means that the bank loses money because the house is sold for less than what the owner owes the bank. And right now, the real estate agents say that short sales are all the rage.
They're great. They're usually a win-win for all parties.
The seller stays away from foreclosure. The buyer gets a good deal. The bank takes a loss. It all sounds simple. But Reginald Perryman, president of the Detroit Association of Realtors, says banks just weren't ready for the short sale demand.
Hey, this is Reginald Perryman, and that was over 10 years ago. And right now what we're doing is we're hearing a lot of information. People are talking about this wave of foreclosures that's going to come in 2021. And I'm here to tell you there's not going to be a wave of foreclosures. Now, in all reality and being honest, there will be foreclosures. As long as they're loaning money and people have debt, there will be foreclosures. But that's the same for auto loans, credit cards. Where there's debt, there's going to be default. There's no simpler way to put it. So let's look at some facts here, because I want to base this on some actual information and make it so that the common person can understand, because there's a lot of people that's out there saying, hey, I'm going to wait until the market crash and go out and buy all the foreclosures. That's not going to happen. So let's take a look. All right, so one of the main reasons we're not going to see a huge increase in foreclosures in 2021 is because first we have to get past this. This has to completely reverse in order for that to happen. And I'm going to tie this all into the current demand for housing as well as the position that we're in now. So keep in mind, the people that are going to have the most trouble with keeping their homes are probably the people that purchase within maybe the last 2 to 3 years, if they face any financial hardship, because these are the people that have the lowest amount of equity in their homes. So when they're faced with any type of financial hardship, they're not going to be able to recover and rebound. But let's just look at this. This is data from earlier this year, basically stating that over 53% of homeowners have over 50% equity in their home. So let's just assume you're in the area, and let's be a little bit more conservative with this number. Let's say in your area, the number is more like 30% equity, right? So think about this. If you are a homeowner and your home is worth $300,000 and you owe $210,000 and you lose your job, you're not going to let the bank take the home back for $210,000 if it's worth $300,000. That just doesn't make sense. So the average person is going to go out, maybe sell that home before they lose it. They're going to take that $80,000 or $90,000 or whatever and restart their life. Maybe they downsize, or maybe they go into a rental property, which is another reason another thing I want to bring up is the rental scenario, and we'll talk about that shortly. So just think about it. That's what most people would do. So the average person is going to think like the average person and make that decision. So another point I want to point out, if for any reason we're going to have an increase of people that are selling their homes so that they can go into the rental market temporarily, what's going to happen there? You're going to see an increase of investors, because there's not going to be enough rental supply. So all of these people are coming into the market. These are new tenants. Now your current tenants are working. They have a little bit of money saved up. Maybe they want to rent instead of buying. But just imagine you get 10 or 12 applicants on your rental property, and all of these people just came into a cash influx of cash because they just sold their home and they got $50,000 or $80,000, and they're telling you, oh, I'll just pay 3 or 4 months a rent in advance because I'm temporarily laid off, or whatever the case may be. The supply and demand is going to be off balance. So there's going to be more demand if people started losing their homes and they're forced to sell these properties and go and rent temporarily. So basically that's what I'm saying. On the flip side, the investors are going to need to buy more properties to compensate for the amount of demand that's going to be out there for rental properties. All right, so let's take a look at something else here. All right, this is where we were in 2005 and 6, the housing bubble. This is where we are in 2020, right? Completely different, right? So right now, looking back at 2008 and 2010, this was the months of inventory that was on the market, right? Remember, homes used to sit on the market for 3 or 4 months. You would see the yard sign, your neighbor's yard sign would be out there for several months. Everyone knew it was for sale. They would have maybe one showing a week or something like that. That's just not the case. If you're in real estate, you know that's not the case right now. So all of this will have to reverse in just 1 year. Interest rates will have to go up. Unemployment, demand for properties will have to decrease, and people will have to lose equity in their homes, meaning that the market values have to drop by almost 30 to 40%. When people before in 2008, people were upside down. So if you lost your job and you owe, $300,000 and now the house is worth $250, it's not much you can do. So let's take a look at something else. So here's a listing I had, right? And this property was on St. Mary's. Prior to that, I had a listing on Cherry Line here in Detroit. We had 13 offers on that property. We closed on it. I listed the property on St. Mary's like within 2 days. They're somewhat similar properties, similar neighborhood. Out of the 9 offers that I received on St. Mary's, 7 of these people were the same people that made offers on Cherry Line. So what I'm saying is, every time a home sells, there's low inventory in the market, but every time a home sells, those other 8, 9, 10 buyers, they are not going anywhere. They're still in the market. So let's say 3 people are in a situation where they're forced to sell their home, and maybe they owe $180,000 and the home is worth $220. So it's not a lot of equity there. There's probably still 7 or 8 buyers that are willing to buy that property and compete for that property. And what's going to happen? Most likely that home is going to sell at full price or above in a short period of time, saving that person from default or foreclosure. So let's look at something else. So basically what I'm saying is, when we're looking at the situation is, with the short sales, most banks back then when we were doing a lot of short sales, the banks realized that it didn't make sense to go through the foreclosure process. Because think about it this way. I need you to put yourself in a position of the lender. And when you can do that, you'll understand it a little bit more. So just imagine if you loaned 10 people $2,000 a piece, right? And 7 of those people were unable to pay you the $2,000, but they were all able to pay you, $1,500. And in order to try to collect the $1,500, it was going to cost you $200 to do so. So if you went directly to the individuals and say, let's avoid the process and just give me the $1,500, you probably would consider that, right? So it's the same way with the banks when you're thinking of short sales. Someone owes $200,000 and maybe the market value of the home is only $150,000. And in order for you to go through the process and collect the current market value, you have to go through the foreclosure process. Average foreclosure cost for some banks can be anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 plus the time. Here in Michigan, it's a 6-month redemption period. So instead of me going through the entire process, paying attorney fees only to collect market value, why not let the homeowner sell it for its current market value, right? So this is why short sales make sense. Not only that, there were incentives for most homeowners to do short sales. So they were giving homeowners relocation funds, $5,000, $10,000, $3,000 to help them relocate. That was an incentive for turning the property over or doing a short sale, because now you have a whole property. Because keep in mind, with foreclosures, there was a lot of vandalism. So even though the market value at the time of foreclosure probably was $150,000, by the time it went to market and had some type of vandalism or theft, it was no longer worth $150,000. So there's too many safety nets to have a foreclosure wave in 2021. What you're going to see is you're going to see a trickle up in the amount of foreclosures that hit the market, but the banks are going to do everything in their power to try to avoid it. And I currently have clients that are doing short sales because of illness or death in the family, and maybe they just bought the property a year or two ago and there's not enough equity. I have clients now that have not paid a payment in over 9 to 10 months, and the banks are constantly working with them. Okay, let's get this home on the market. So there's so many efforts to avoid that whole foreclosure fiasco that we went through before. So that's why I say there's not going to be a wave in foreclosures. As an investor, my recommendation, like myself, my recommendation is look for people that are pre-foreclosure, which are your short sales, people that have a financial hardship, in other words, and there's an urgency to sell. Only a couple things are going to force people into that. Maybe there was a 2-income household, loss of employment for one of the wage earners, or there was a death, or there was a divorce, right? So that takes it from 2 income to 1 income, right? The other reason is any distress sales, of course, your probates and things of that nature. That's what I'm counting on. I'm not waiting for this big wave of foreclosures. I'm just looking for finding the right deal that's available to me now in the current market. And maybe you try to project maybe 3 months out, but just waiting on the sideline for a year or something like that is just probably not going to happen. I know there's some leeway and there's something going on that's going to say, hey, we're not going to see the wave of foreclosures that we had before. I know everyone's talking about it, but talking about it and actually looking at the data and feeling the heartbeat of the housing market is what's going to change. And then where are all these buyers going to go? Like, to be honest, there's just not enough inventory on the market. On average, a good home, average condition home, priced fairly, right about market value, within 5 or 10% of market value, is probably going to get 7 to 11 offers, and only one person can get the property. So where does the other 6 to 10 buyers go? Are they going to drop out of the market in the next 3 months? Probably not. They're probably going to continue to look. So you have to lose those people in the market. Also, you know, let's say unemployment goes up another 3%. All right, that's fine, but like, for example, in some of our areas, it's only 70% homeowners. And here's the reality. If you got 70% of people that are homeowners or looking to buy homes or become homeowners, when you say unemployment goes up, you have to factor in how many of those people were actually in the market to buy a home, or how many of those people were actually homeowners. So you're counting in someone that was not in the game, right? You're counting that person's stats that were not even in the game, right? So, and that's what I'm saying. You really have to have your ear to the street and feel the heartbeat of the housing market. I've been interviewed several times on different news stations and everything, and quoted in the local newspapers, and every time they're always like 6 to 8 months. I hate to say it, they're usually 6 to 8 months behind what's going on. 10 years ago, it was short sales and foreclosures. You know, 2 years ago, the interview was how quick homes are selling. You know, if you sleep on it, you won't sleep in it. We were already in that market for about a year or two before the news even reported on it. So just make sure you're paying attention to the market. Talk to your contractors. You know, the contractors out here doing major renovations on homes. Who's going to put $30,000 into a home if they're financially strapped and they're going to lose their home? Like, now we know things happen unexpectedly, so maybe you don't know you're getting fired next week or laid off, and you just did this big remodel in your home. But usually people that are doing those large remodels or updates, they're doing it with cash that maybe they had saved up. So and that's a little bit off track, but just what I'm saying is talk to your title companies. You know, how many deals are you guys closing a month on average? Are you seeing any trends happening? Are you doing more probate deals? Are you doing more short sales? Start looking at the actual trends from the people that are boots on the ground. Talk to your realtors. How long are homes staying on the market? Are you seeing that slow down any? So things of that nature. Talk to your mortgage reps. What's going on with interest rates? Is it getting harder to get buyers approved? Or how many here's a good one. Ask your lenders how many loan applications are they getting. So it's one thing to have mortgages closed, but how many applications are they taking in? That's very important to know. How many loan applications are your lenders taking in as well? That means there's a lot of interest. How many people are refinancing? So talk to your contractors, your title companies, your realtors, before you just go out here and assume because you've seen some guy like myself on YouTube giving you information, but without any supporting facts to back it up. So again, this is Reginald Perryman with regisrealestate.com. Just explaining to you again, don't wait on the sideline for a wave of foreclosures, because you may miss out on some good short sales or some good probate deals. My God, there's some good deals out there. People are, there's an uptick in probate cases, and divorce cases. If it's not your home, you didn't buy it, or you had a bad divorce, you'd be surprised what some people will let those homes go for. That's completely different than that foreclosure wave that you may be waiting on. regisrealestate.com. Come check me out.